Welcome! My name is Mike Liordi, and I'm a musician, artist, producer, engineer, content creator. Thanks for checking out State of My Art podcast, where I chat with fellow creatives about their projects, journey, and message to give you ideas, inspiration, and a little entertainment. Week number 22, episode 22, I sit down and chat with my good friend John Safari at my new favorite taco shop here in Santa Ana, Taqueria Zaragoza. John Safari is an event producer / promoter based here in Orange County, California. He's booked my bands since 2014 at various venues, from backyard shows to Anaheim House of Blues, under his fast-growing company, OrangeCounty Music League. He's also a very efficient stagehand for some big productions around town, and on top of that, he's a big part of an awesome non-profit organization called Artists United to End Homelessness. Definitely check them out on Facebook and see how you can help. Links are in the description. Without further delay, my conversation with John Safari took place on the patio of Taqueria Zaragoza here in Santa Ana, California on January 6th, 2020. All right, we are really doing it. Welcome to the show, Mr. John Safari, ladies and gentlemen.
How's it going, everybody?
Thanks for being on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we are here at Taqueria Zaragoza.
Phenomenal tacos, by the way. They are the best.
They did not stand a chance. They hooked us up with some tacos, and they were so delicious that for the first time we didn't waste an entire episode having a conversation about what we could have on the podcast, because we were stuffing our faces with delicious tacos.
Yeah, our mouths were very occupied.
So, Santa Ana. This is where it all began for our working relationship.
Yeah. Santa Ana was like the Copper Door the first time, or was that Diego's? I don't even remember. It was like 5-6 years ago?
Yeah, I can't remember what the first place was that you booked me here. So John Safari is a promoter. I should have mentioned that. And you also got really involved in the AV world.
Yeah. Which, you know, I mean, they work hand in hand, and after doing, I always considered myself more of an event producer than promoter, because I don't just book a band and promote them. I like to make the whole venue, wherever I'm at, whatever space it is, an actual event with lights, fog machines, you know, like create an environment, maybe theme the show so that people feel like they're included and a part of the environment, not just watching somebody play their music, you know.
It's a great idea.
And that really came from just so many bars that we were doing shows at, and smaller places that it's just dark and there's nothing to like make you feel like you're a part of the event. And so then naturally, getting into audio+visual and some of the bigger music festivals, I started running all the labor for the big shows on the beach for a couple of years, and it was just kind of natural to go learn more about the production side of things, because that's what I'm equally as excited about as promoting the music, right?
For sure. That's awesome. Yeah, that's kind of how I got my start in the AV world, which I'm still very new at. But I wanted to have an awesome light show. I wanted to have backtracks and a video wall, and I couldn't afford a video wall, but I would just project video elements to my show. And then I don't know if you know Adam Sisko.
I don't think so.
He's a producer, engineer down in Santee and San Diego area, and Jesse, who I met through, I met Adam Sisko through Jesse. You know Jesse, obviously. So they kind of got me into it, and we did some gigs together, and I finally, set up a video wall and all that stuff, and my height came in handy.
Oh, super handy. Times. We don't even need a ladder with you around.
Yeah, very, very rarely. If I do, I'm on like the bottom two steps. But yeah, like I was like, oh, well, all of that hard labor that was sometimes for nothing was actually for something, because I learned a lot from it, and I enjoy those. The days fly by doing AV work.
Yeah, I mean it's fun work. It's not too hard, but it's consistent, and that's like my biggest quarrel with any job I've ever had is I'm just fucking standing around. I don't want to stand around. I want to do something, like, you know, get the project done.
I thought you meant consistent in that you'll always have work, and here we are in the pandemic.
Well, usually I would have meant that kind of consistency,
right.
But, you know, as we were starting to touch on earlier, I was supposed to go on tour with Greenday this year as their assistant stage manager and their loading dock guy. I was in 23 countries over 5 months, like, damn. And you know, 3 weeks before I flew to England for rehearsals, the Rona took all of the jobs, not just that one. So,
wow, dude.
Yeah, and you know, we're all hopefully optimistic. Last March, right? Like, oh yeah, it'll be a couple months and we'll be back to normal. And here we are approaching March again with absolutely no clue of what's going to happen. So.
Yeah, I mean, with everything, we were talking about hockey earlier too, whether that's going to start up, but with live music, it's like, yeah, I don't know if there's going to be more outdoor stuff. Have you done any of the outdoor stuff, drive-ins?
I'm currently actually doing a drive-in movie theater, which the last weekend is this weekend coming up. We did it for the last 4 weekends total, for the holiday season, which is just a big video wall on a stage. You know, so at least it was some kind of production. I've had a good time with it, but it's like I want to have a band on that stage, not a video wall with a movie from 1987 playing. You know, I mean, it's cool. I'm enjoying it, but it's not the same.
How big is that video wall?
40 feet wide by 20 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah.
That's awesome. Some Rammstein shit.
Yeah, dude. We were supposed to see them this year, and they got taken away too. Damn it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were coming out here. I want to say in August.
Damn, that's on my bucket list, man. I got to see that band.
Man, I haven't seen it, but I had tickets, and yeah, this year's been the hurry up and wait, and your plans don't mean anything.
Yeah,
sincerely, the world.
That's a bummer, dude. Things were finally like starting to really pan out for you.
Yeah, and you know, promoter-wise and band-wise, we'd found a really cool groove doing stuff at the House of Blues in Anaheim in their Parish room, which I personally think is the best room for smaller local up-and-coming bands in Orange County. And
great show.
Yeah,
thank you for doing that for us.
Absolutely.
That was amazing.
I love doing shows at that place. Everybody from the fans to the staff to the bands leaves happy. Mm-hmm. It's like almost, you'd have to really suck to not almost sell the place out. It's like everybody enjoys going there, and it feels more like an event, you know, which is when I'm, again, going back to being an event producer, not just a promoter. Like, I want you to, like, keep that ticket because it was a night that you remember, you know, not just come see this band, you know.
Yeah, and that like goes along with what I always say about perception. Is like the crowd perceives their friends, their, you know, the fans that you see them in this world of, you know, they look like rock stars to them, and they leave the show looking forward to the next show, which is really important. Whereas
100%.
Sometimes when we play these like pizza bars and stuff, they're fun. Like the bands get it, but to the normal person just going to a show, they're like, I don't know if that band has what it takes to make it. You know, they don't. Subconsciously
don't. Subconsciously because of the atmosphere and the environment, right?
Right.
And it's whenever, and even for the artist, right, when you play that show at the House of Blues and you get the ticket and it has your name on it, like that does something to you as well, you know.
For sure.
It helps to kind of legitimize the work that you've been putting in order to get to that spot.
Not to mention the food and drinks backstage and the professional staff.
The real green room experience, the stagehands helping you load your stuff.
Yeah, it's like you actually feel like, oh man, why can't this be every show? Why can't I do this every day? And it inspires and motivates you to get to that level too. Yeah, that's absolutely what it does for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've had a lot of fun times in that green room, watching the big room on the TV, eating our burger bar. Yeah. But, you know, I think to touch on that even more, like my favorite part about those shows is just how much fun everybody has, you know, from the bands to the fans. Like everybody's in a good mood. Like there's nobody in a bad mood after that show. Right. You know, it's a win all around. Yeah. So definitely can't wait till we can get back to doing that, but who knows? Yeah,
that's just it. And the last show that I played as Rosedale was a House of Blues San Diego on their big main stage, and it was like so amazing. Not, you know, obviously not knowing any of this was coming, but I look back at that moment like, wow, that I'm lucky that, you know, everything happened just in time for me. But also, wow, I want to get back to that. And then 2 or 3 months before that was the Parish Room show.
Yeah.
So
yeah, your last couple shows were like, I'm getting up that ladder that I've been trying to climb for so long, and then the carpet just gets pulled out from under you.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was kind of due to take a step back and go into development. I'm rebranding, changing the name. So it kind of worked out for me where everyone is kind of stuck away from climbing up the ladder.
Yep. So we're all on a level playing field at least.
Yeah, so when I get kind of.
I mean, nobody's situation is very unique this year for a change.
Right. Should be interesting when everything comes back, because I know that booking shows, booking tours was really tough for me, because a lot of these venues want, 200 people in their venue at least.
Yeah.
And I'm not able to do that on my own. And to find the right local bands to do that, to rent out a place, is really tough.
Especially in markets that you're not familiar with, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so having guys like you to help me out was huge. But when things get back, a lot of these venues are probably
not even going to be there.
Well, they're not going to be there, a lot of them. And then the House of Blues ones, I mean, I don't know. There's two theories. One that I think is more likely is that everyone's going to be knocking on their door like, hey, we can sell this place out.
Yep.
And they're going to get booked before the DIY touring guy. The other theory is locals are going to have the upper hand, because they're going to be able to open all these shows, and there's not going to be a lot of traveling touring acts because there's going to be so much uncertainty. So I
kind of lean a little bit more towards that one myself, and these did the very beginning when things open, because the things that are going to open are going to be the smaller things that can accommodate safe spaces, if you will, right? Healthy, safe spaces, not the other kind.
Right.
But so I feel like at least for the first 4 to 6 months of things like slowly opening, because it's not just going to all open at once, right? Like that's going to be when the locals have the opportunity to kind of capture that attention of the venues, if you will, by what they can do in those first couple of months, because everybody's itching to go out. It really shouldn't be hard to sell out a show.
Yeah, I would hope so, unless people are still afraid for whatever reason.
If we just market in Huntington Beach, we'll be okay,
Right. Yeah,
there's plenty of places that people still just don't care and just want to go out. So I don't really. I mean, I was visiting my best friend in Texas in September for his birthday, and I went to a socially distanced music festival with like Nelly and Snoop Dogg, and they had 3 of them at the same time in different cities. And so in between sets, it was a really long changeover, so they could sanitize the stage and do everything safely. And they would stream the set from the other show that they had going on all the video walls. So you still watched a full set, but it just was at the other place. And that way everywhere was able to follow all the protocols. You had your own little 7x7 square. You could bring your own lawn chair. And all of your concessions and merch was done on this app that was location-based for the event.
Wow.
And then somebody would just bring things to your, in a tray, totally
to your square.
To your square. Totally. The only reason you left was to go to the porta potty. And it worked flawlessly. There was no issues. And so, coming back to California, I'm just like, well, why can't we do this here? It literally just worked in Texas perfectly fine. Everybody followed the rules, and I went just as much to see how this thing worked as to go see live music,
Sure, yeah.
And I ended up having a really good time. And being leaving there being like, damn, there is a way that we can adapt to this safely, but it's just not, everybody's not on the same page.
Yeah, that's the big problem with a lot of things.
Yeah.
But that's the future, man. Maybe that is the future of
I gotta tell you, man, as a 31-year-old now, it was kind of cool to be able to sit down in a lawn chair.
Yeah.
And not have people space. And not have people bumping into me. And I've had a couple instances this year where I'm like, oh man, I'm getting old. I'm turning into that. Oh, why is the party going on next door guy? And I'm like,
Same.
And I think it's just inherent jealousy that I'm not the one hosting the party. I think that's really what it comes down to.
A little bit of envy there. No, I get that too, and I get the noise thing too. I mean, even being stuck back at my parents' house for the last 7 months of this year.
Yeah,
it's like, man, why do these people get up so early? Why is it so loud? My brother stomps. It's like, I sleep better on the road. I sleep better in my van.
Yeah.
So I'm becoming that old guy who's like, turn down that noise. And at a show, I'm like, I kind of prefer to be up in the box watching the show from there.
Yeah, it was unique because I'm always in the mosh pit. I'm always, like, when I go to shows in the city, you're not allowed to. So I ended up really enjoying having my own space. And I can see a lot of other people really enjoying that. And, you know, like, there's not as many people in their 30s that still go in mosh pits like me and then deal with it for weeks after with the pain. But
don't get me wrong, when it's a band that I know every word, I got to be front row.
Yep.
I got to see everything going on. Yep. But I'm the first person to get asked, can you move? You're blocking the view. You're too tall. So
a skyscraper over
like
here.
This year, I've gotten that way less than ever. Just because, you know, people don't want to like remove their mask to ask a question or talk to a stranger. So that's starting to come back finally, and that's how you know it's a good sign that we're getting back to normalcy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm running this drive-in movie gig, and then 2 weeks after, I have like this conference that they're using the wall and the stage, but it's still like I'm working with the stage now again after 8 months. So like it's kind of promising, right? But at least I'm doing something I like instead of demolition on houses.
Oh, is that what you do on the side?
That's what I was doing, just like some under the table on the side, you know, keep myself busy stuff, which, you know, it's cool. I learned new stuff about how to fix my house, but
there you go.
You know, I mean, it wasn't pointless, but it's definitely not fun.
Yeah. I mean,
changing a band over in 7 minutes on a massive stage is fun, even though it's hard, you know?
Yeah, especially if you're good at it and you know how to do it. Yeah. It's a fun game. That brings me to some ideas that I want to pull out of you for this crazy ambitious video game that comes up a lot on the podcast. And I'm sorry if people are getting annoyed with this now, but I have this idea where you're an artist that, you know, starts in a garage with your friends maybe, and then it's kind of like Tony Hawk Pro Skater where you got to keep leveling up and do all these side missions to like get your band on the pay-to-play show, and then you got to sell that out and sell tickets and hustle tickets and promote on your phone. The menu is your phone screen, and then eventually, you know, you work your way through like the Warped Tour parking lot and play Warped Tour, and like Warped Tour is this like thing that still exists in the video game, and it's kind of like way
better. I mean, if we're making up a game and it's fake, there better be a Warped Tour, man. Rip.
And then you know, you got to like please the stagehands and the sound guy, and that's all part of like the side. 2% of the game you're actually playing music. The rest of it is like loading gear down the stairs and all that. And all the side quests are like you got to balance the gear.
It's like a video game about our lives.
Exactly. Yeah, just build a game around everything that I've been through to even get to this point, and then eventually, you know, maybe you're playing main stage Warped Tour or a Riot Fest or something. So yeah, that reminded me of that. And
you have to load 50 bass cabs up 2 flights of stairs before you can get to the next level.
Yeah, or you don't play that night. So it's gonna be a tough game. There's gonna be a lot of people quitting, much like the music industry.
Yep.
But yeah, to touch on like, you know, doing other gigs on the side because of COVID, from COVID, that's kind of, you know, what inspired me to finally start the podcast, because it was in the back of my mind for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was doing blogs from the road just to like, you know, get my story out there and let people experience, you know, what I'm doing on a weekly basis. It was really tough to keep up with weekly, much like this podcast, but now I have the time to do it and I'm getting quicker at it. But yeah, I was like, you know, I don't want to, if anything, I lost a lot of income from COVID, and this doesn't generate anything, but at least I'm able to like start the next chapter with something.
Well, and it comes with staying relevant too, you know. And I've kind of struggled with that between, you know, on the promoter side, like everybody starts doing these live stream shows, and I think I was still like holding on to the hope that this wasn't going to last this fucking long, and I didn't really, you know, I'm not excited watching somebody play music in their lockout studio, you know, and maybe other people enjoy it, but I don't think they do.
Or even a big production live stream venue, where I was working at that warehouse in Carlsbad. It became that, and they were awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't know how promising that is to like sell tickets for. Yeah. And all that.
I mean, if you're not known yet and you're not doing it for a charity, I don't see it really panning out. And like I've bought 2 tickets for online shows because my favorite band, August Burns Red, and they played their first album in its entirety on one of them. And they've never done that, and they never will live, right? So it's like, I'll buy a ticket for that because I get to see this whole album from front to back played in a full production sound studio.
There you go.
Would I pay to see their touring set? No, I wouldn't. You know?
Really?
Like, no, I don't think I would because I go to
you
see
mean
their like if they were just going on tour and just playing a regular set, I probably wouldn't have paid for that.
For the stream, you mean?
Yeah, for the stream.
But you'd go see them live.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every single time. I usually see them twice because they'll play LA and San Diego, you know? Like,
nice.
But yeah, I'll always go to the show.
Sure.
But because it was unique and special of that album
front to back,
that gives incentive. So I do see that there's ways that you can use that and utilize that, but I think you already need to have a pretty widespread fan base, you know, in order to make that happen.
For sure.
And then something that we've run into running the drive-in movie theater, and people who I've talked to who are doing drive-in concerts, like some people's cars have the worst sound system ever, and if you're doing it via FM transmitter, like
is that how they do it?
Yeah, I'm just doing it. I have no audio. It's just a transmitter to your car radio.
No mains.
No speakers at all. No.
But this is a movie theater.
But some of the drive-ins do, but some of them don't. So, like, the drive-ins they were doing at the Grove in Anaheim, they had actual speakers.
For movies or live music?
For music.
Oh, for music,
but some of the music, like, in the beginning, only was doing FM transmitter.
And it's on time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like it's crazy. It's like legit. I mean,
that's pretty cool.
The FM transmitter, it seems like it's really hard to set up, but I set it up in like 5 minutes, and it's amazing.
Wow!
Yeah, like I'm totally gonna buy one of those this year.
If anything, that's like more real time than the delay of being 1,000 feet away.
But yeah, and from sending it through the speakers, and then delay from fucking data transfer time and everything like that. Yeah. Like,
wow.
It's pretty much instantaneous. You just have like an antenna on top of the trailer.
See, I think that is gonna be a thing of the future.
I do too,
for sure.
I do too. I do think that will kind of catch on in a sense, and I like the drive-in movie vibe. Like,
yeah,
it's
I've
cool.
always loved that.
I remember going to them when I was a kid, and like I've had so many people come to the one that I'm running right now, and be like, "Man, that was my first drive-in movie theater experience. That was so cool," and it's like. It gives you a little bit of that dopamine, right? Of like, oh, we made people happy with an event, even though it's not what we would usually do, and it's got that satisfaction level in it. But I think that's gonna stick. I think drive-in movies are gonna be around for a while again, because the technology to do them is so much better than it used to be when they were a thing.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, driving down here, I probably saw 5 that wouldn't have been there.
Oh yeah, they're all pop-ups. They're all in response to trying to do something. Some of them are sponsored by the movie theaters. I know the one at the Irvine Spectrum sponsored by the Comedy Club, and they're having like drive-in stand-up comedy on the parking structure roof, which is super rad. I've always wanted to have a show on the top of a parking structure.
Yeah, like, is that where these venues are going to end up if this gets worse?
I would say anywhere that has the space to do it should do it right now if they can, because it's not going to be normal inside for a long time, even with slow rollouts of vaccines, Like, if what we've seen is any inclination of what we're about to see, it's going to be till this time next year before anything looks like it used to, normal, I mean, and that's different. People are buying everything online. People aren't going to work. They're working from home, which I think is a great idea.
And a lot of that's going to stick too.
I hope it does, because it's better for everybody who's doing those jobs. It's better for the freeways and traffic with the overcrowding. It's like better for the environment. Like the air quality in LA is the best it's ever been.
Right.
So,
there's a lot of good that came from it, man.
Absolutely.
And even for live music, if I'm playing drive-in shows for the rest of my life, I think it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Especially with how much I like big production and flashing lights.
Yeah, exactly. The flashing lights, man.
And big stages.
Yeah.
The stages will be bigger.
Yep.
I'm a big dude. I don't like playing house shows.
Yeah. Head hitting a chandelier every time you're doing a jump.
But that's another thing that I was talking about with my buddy is house shows are probably going to be making a big...
Yeah, out in the desert, like the high desert area, there was a ton of stuff going on over the summer, and then it gets too cold for them to do stuff outside. But there was already a lot of that kind of stuff going on, and I've teetered back and forth. I'll just go do a desert rave, and then I watch a couple other people do terrible jobs at desert raves, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do this because I'll be associated with these people, and
gotcha,
we all need to hold, right? But some people can't at some point because they can't afford to pay their bills, and they're gonna lose everything. And like everybody, we're in the same storm, but not the same boat. You know, everybody's got a different circumstance of why they need to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody makes it out to be like they're being malicious and they don't care, but it's not. Like they got bills to pay and they're not getting the help they need. So.
And not only that, you can be innovative like that, like that Texas show you went to.
Yep.
That sounds like it was.
They had 3 of them in a row, like at the same time in 3 different cities in Texas, and they had it for 3 nights in a row. And so it was able to be limited capacity, but still have the draw of like a full festival. And there's ways to do it that work, but you know, you have to have your government work with you, and California is not on our side. So
I was in Florida, October, November, and I went with my family to see an outdoor ABBA cover band show, and it was pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was expecting a production. And it was like $25 tickets, $30 tickets. In the newspaper, you just expect.
Yeah, if it's in the paper and they're that price, like.
Yeah, and like I've gone to see tribute bands in big venues in my hometown, and the production was big because it was a nice venue. But now this is just outdoor in a park, and it was literally just like a little pop-up stage and like a couple Mackies and a little sub, and the light show was just like red, green, blue,
just like
on rotation. Pink. It was just like, oh man, this looks terrible. But everyone was loving it because it's ABBA songs, and they delivered a decent performance. Just standing there, cover band style. But we were in squares, and
distanced and had to stay in your area, or
they weren't strict at all.
They weren't enforcing it probably. Right?
It wasn't very professionally done, like what you were saying. There was no merchant or anything to handle.
Oh wow.
Because it was just a cover band, right? But I think people would look at that like, why do they even need to do this? Whereas from what it sounds like to the concert you went to in Texas, that sounds like totally reasonable and people adapting to their circumstances and how they need to.
And that was one of the things I was the most excited about, like watching everything crumble. I was like, well, let's see some American ingenuity, like we're going to see some really cool things. I mean, Portland, they had a drive-through strip club, and if that doesn't scream America, like
Portland, Oregon, of all places.
Yeah, they put up like tents like this one we're sitting under, and you can drive through, and the strippers are over there, and they even had little money
drive-through.
Drive-through strip club, and they even had a little like money gun thing, like you could they put it somehow on the wheels on your hubcap, and like when you drove by, the money would like shoot out of your wheels. I don't know how the hell they did that, but it was great. And then there was I think it was the same dude also started Boober Eats, where he had the strippers delivering food to the customers.
Wow.
Because they were all independent contractors, couldn't qualify for unemployment, and he didn't want to leave all of his fucking employees out to dry. And so he got creative.
You would think that, they would be the first to, lose. I mean, especially because it's a sanitary virus thing. You'd think that strip clubs would be like, you're done.
Yeah, you're done.
But they found a way to change. They find a way to evolve quicker than musicians.
They did.
I'm not surprised.
Right away. I mean, I'm not surprised either.
Or adapt, I should say. But that'll. I mean, I guess that gives me hope. The Texas show that you went to, it gives me hope that things are coming around.
Yeah, and
just how do I get my foot in the door?
Yeah, well, not being in California is like the number one, because all these things that are being successful are happening everywhere but here.
It's true.
There's all these drive-in comedy things. There's Bert Kreischer did a tour. I think he was like the first one to do the drive-in thing, and he like went out like 2 months after the lockdown and was doing these drive-ins, and everybody kind of started picking that up. But it's mainly like middle America, Florida, obviously they don't care at all, but it's not anything in California. I mean, it's a lot of the Midwest that wasn't, I guess, hit as hard per capita in the first place too.
Right. And like you said, it's looked at by a lot of people as being irresponsible, especially when they see that state's numbers go up or whatever the news portrays to people.
Well, exactly, whatever the news portrays doesn't even mean it's actually true.
Right.
It's perception, right?
Right, without, jumping into politics, because
we don't need to do that.
I have no clue how the world is is arguing right now, but all I know is that I want music to come back, and
same.
If strippers can adapt and figure out a way to make that happen,
then we should be able to do that as well.
Music should be able to happen. And Canada is the same way. Canada, it's like everything is shut down, like beyond shut down. You can get an $800 ticket for driving in a car with someone you don't live with.
Wow.
Well, we can pull you over and be like, how do you know this person? Fined.
Wow. Well, at least it ain't like that bad.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. I don't understand how shutting down outdoor dining helps, but because obviously it hasn't helped for a month that these things have been closed. Yeah, it hasn't helped at all. So,
well, I don't know the extent of the rules because here we are. We just had some amazing food, and we're able to have the podcast in front.
Yeah, you can't eat here, but we can podcast here.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't think they're doing it illegally, You go in there, you wear a mask, you order food, you come out here and eat it. I don't know why a lot of places are struggling around that. Maybe they don't have the room to do it outside.
A lot of it comes with outdoor room, and depending on your location. Like here, they have 3 parking spots, right? Some places in parking lots they probably wouldn't be able to do that. Right. Or they got to get an extra permit, and they got to pay extra money to do it. Down by where I live in Long Beach, all of the street parking is now actually built out patios because the city helped them with it, but you got to get a permit. You got to jump through all this red tape just to try to stay open after you've been closed, and then they shut you down again after you've spent more money to try to stay open.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
Yeah.
All right, this camera's got to be
got
restarted.
That camera reset.
Yeah.
My Canon D7 does that too.
30-minute limit.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure there's
a setting in there somewhere because
there's an app I think you can put on the Canon, and you can do that on this too. But for some reason with the A7 III, you can't. The only workaround is to get an external monitor, which you can record onto an SD card from, but those are like $500.
Yeah.
But one of these days, the podcast will pay the bills. Well, yeah, man, I'm stoked for hockey. Yeah. We talk a bit about that. You're a Ducks fan.
Absolutely. Quack.
I joined your ESPN
Fantasy
League.
It's going to be fun. I was like, man, I wonder if I could find 10 people, and by the end of the day, it was full. I was like, okay, I should have done a few more, but...
Oh, you can't add more?
I'm going to try, because if I can, I know a couple more people want to join in.
Oh, I was going to say, if you want to join Safari's Fantasy League, join, but I guess you can't.
Yeah.
Well, I'm stoked to be a part of it. I've never done one. Yeah, I don't even know how it works.
It's fun. I didn't really do it for a while. I did it last year, and then right before the playoffs, the season ended, and so the playoffs didn't happen in the season, and I ended up winning both my leagues just by being the champion of the league.
Nice.
And no playoffs needed, so I got to run that back and actually get a real win this year.
Nice.
But this is the longest in my adult life that I haven't been to a hockey game on top of concerts, and at least I got that one concert in September. So
yeah,
I think I was like a month away from the longest it's been since I went to a concert, and I got to get that one in right. Out in Texas. But March 11th, it was the last day of the season. Yeah, I was at the game. It was my last day of work and my last day of hockey. I was building the Cirque du Soleil event in Costa Mesa.
Nice.
And then that got stopped and canceled because of COVID. And I left the gig like an hour early to make it to the game. And it was the rescheduled game against the Blues because Ballmeister died on the bench when they were playing a month before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was sitting there and in between the whistle, all of a sudden you just see everybody freak out. They skate over to the bench. Getzlaff ripped the Blues bench off of the bearings so that the medical staff could attend to him. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen at a hockey game. And when they released the stuff after, they go, yeah, he literally died on the bench, and the medical staff at Anaheim brought him back to life.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that was the rescheduled game, and a couple hours after the game was over, they're like, yep, the rest of the season's canceled. I was like, oh man, what a sad day. I'll never forget 3/11/20.
Wow. I totally forgot that even happened because the pandemic took over.
Yeah, that was intense to nothing ever happens on the bench after the play. The dude just skated for a minute and a half, gets over there, and his heart stopped and just collapsed.
What was it, a heart attack?
Yeah, it was a heart attack. His heart just stopped working, and if it wasn't for them stopping that game and getting the medical staff over there, he would have died.
Holy
it was crazy.
Shit.
But man, I watched that hockey game last night. Luckily, we had the World Juniors, and woo, USA taking home the gold. Number one.
Wow, I didn't even know. I missed it.
USA taking home the gold over
Congrats.
Canada 2-0. It was a good game. They played a pretty perfect game. Canada outscored their opponents 44-4 in the tournament.
Yeah, it was like 16-1 against Germany or something crazy.
It was 44-4, and they hadn't let up a 5-on-5 goal in the whole tournament. And then the USA scored 2 5-on-5 goals and shut them out.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was a good game. It's fun just to watch hockey. I've never had a January without hockey.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get to watch the Winter Classic when I was hungover this year on New Year's Day.
yeah, same. Yeah, man, I missed the Winter Classic. And that's another thing we were talking about is maybe hockey is going to have some outdoor games, and we're like, how are they going to do that in Southern California? Yeah. But, I mean, it gets chilly at night, especially this time of year.
It does. If you have outdoor games and this time of year when the sun's down before 5, you got enough time to maybe pull it off.
Yeah, as long as you, like...
I just want to go to the game, so figure it out, guys. Figure it out.
Yeah,
I got to bring my cowbell and be the loudest guy in the stadium. It's easy to be the loudest guy in an arena, but a stadium, that's...
Well, it doesn't help that they're starting it in January this year, though, too, because by March, it starts to warm up even at night.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean,
and then
maybe
we flip over to getting an extra hour a day by the end of March too, right? So
maybe they could have
daylight savings time. What a joke!
Maybe they can make the players literally like in a bubble, like that bubble hockey game.
Oh, the bubble hockey game! I love it.
So maybe they can make the rink in a bubble so that it can stay cold in the bubble, and then the audience can be wearing shorts and t-shirts.
American ingenuity, right here. This is Canadian ingenuity, actually, ladies and gentlemen, straight out of Toronto.
The biggest bubble ever built.
Dude. Hey, you know, there's something to that because they have those people that have really sensitive skin. They can live in a bubble, right? So I think we might be onto something.
There might be they'd have to like have some sort of retina screen where it doesn't have a glare. But I mean, it would be looking through the mesh, which I've had to do since they introduced the mesh.
Yeah, well, that was a good rule because I remember being in Madison Square Garden as a kid and watching a slap shot get tipped, go right over the back of the net, being some dude in the head who got carried out on a stretcher.
Yeah,
they didn't see the puck coming, and then the asshole that was sitting next to him didn't even give the guy going to the hospital the puck.
He kept the puck.
Yeah, he kept the puck. I was like, oh man, what a guy.
Yeah.
But it was after that girl died in Columbus though that they like had to do something about it. But.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, a glass bubble, you don't even need that mesh.
Yeah. Hey, no mesh, a better shot.
Just photographers and players and coaches inside the bubble.
Yeah. So, NHL, NBA, y'all taking notes on this podcast, right?
And I've been seeing some of the college football games.
Like packed. Yeah.
In like Georgia and stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense that everybody's doing something different and expecting a cohesive result.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of somewhat the definition of insanity a little bit there.
Yeah. So when do you think you're going to start AV gigging again?
Who's got the gigs? I'll work today.
Have you done any online assistance, I guess you can call it, with like Zoom conferences or anything?
No, I've done a little bit. I still do work with the homeless, so the group called Artists United End Homelessness.
Awesome.
So we do have like bi-monthly Friday night Zoom meeting chat, which isn't really a meeting. It's more of our online show because everybody that's involved is an artist to some extent, whether they're doing poetry or music or paintings, and all of us use some of that art and artistic talent to touch on the issue of homelessness, and so we kind of share the things that we've created. That's pretty much the only thing I've done online. We did get back into the studio, Calico Music Studios out in Temecula, and we recorded our like unplugged studio sessions. We started doing that again. We used to do a couple years ago at Reamp in Santa Ana.
Nice.
So I got like 14 different songs from 5 different artists or 6 different artists that we're going to start releasing here at the end of the month, once a week.
Cool.
I prefer personally like produced content over a live stream because it's something that the artist can use for the longevity of that song, you know?
Sure.
Versus, here, watch the same live stream that you watched. Like,
and back to the perception of the normal people from the outside looking in don't understand, that live in person, you're a lot more accepting of mistakes than when you're watching a mixed down live stream. But.
Yeah, and so like I like to bring bands in, not a lot of people know of yet, but they have some really good songs, but then make them do it acoustic. And we live record that in the studio, and we have 3 camera angles on them. And so those are fun, and I enjoy doing those a lot more than like a live stream type, like virtual concert, if you will, because now this artist has that forever.
So how could bands get on that?
Basically, you just have to reach out to me, send me a song that you think. Obviously, if you have something new that's coming out, new promotion for a new song is probably always the way to go. But I'm probably only going to be doing recording once every other month on something like that, and there'll be like a weekly thing that comes out. So really, just reach out to me on Facebook, John Safari, or you can look up the Music League on Instagram or on Facebook. And that's something I want to do in multiple studios. I've done them in a couple different studios, and it's cool to have you have like a different setting and a different vibe for each artist that you're going to be doing. So, and then that again is something that you can use 3 years from now.
For sure.
Instead of like, hey, look at our masked live stream.
Right.
How about 3 years from now when you're looking in your jacket pocket and you find an old mask and you're like, oh man, well, let's not talk about that here.
I hope that's the case. I hope masks are a thing of the past. Do you do all the editing for it then too?
I have one of my guys do the editing. I'm thinking about starting to do it myself because I have so much free time on my hands, which I don't know what to do with. Besides rollerblade at the beach and go kayaking in the bay. So it's got a hard life right now.
You play roller hockey?
I'm going to start doing that again, but I'm actually going to play ice hockey as soon as the men's leagues open up. Because I never can because I'm always working music on Sundays, and that's when the games are. But right now, I might as well get a season or two in while there's no work on Sundays.
There's some bootleg prohibition leagues out there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the guy that I'm sharing a rehearsal room with, he's a referee, and he's like, yeah, I'm still working. The men's league that I ref for was like, no, we want to play regardless, and they make more money doing it than what they'd be fined if they got caught, and they even get a warning first apparently. They're like, whatever, we all want to do it, so let's do it.
Yeah, sign me up, I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing.
Is that roller? Or?
No, that's ice.
That's ice.
Yeah, I can't find rollerblades my size.
Oh, what size are you?
My hockey skates are I think 15 and a half.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So I don't think I'd ever find rollerblades.
Just take your ice hockey boot and put a roller hockey chassis on it.
Yeah,
so my little brother did.
You think it would work?
Yeah, it works.
Okay.
Yeah, my little brother did that because he got there's this new roller hockey chassis called the Mars Blade.
Yeah.
And it like simulates the rock that you get from the ice, and it rocks a little bit instead of staying straight.
Yeah.
And so he put those on an old pair of his ice hockey boots.
Yeah, because there's awesome like outdoor roller rinks around here.
Yeah, there's one right down the street from my house, like out between the bay and the beach, like in Long Beach. It's great.
It looks fun. I used to just like walk around and watch roller hockey when I was down here last time, and I was like, man, I wish I could get rollerblades my size. So it's good that I can. And I was playing a lot of pickup hockey down here too.
Yeah, I haven't ice skated in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, usually I'm working, and when I'm not working, I'm hosting shows.
When live music was out.
When music was out, I was one of the busiest people I've ever met.
You were like 10 shows a week.
Yeah, and how do you even do 2 shows a night? Well, I did it. You have a team. It's not all me,
Right.
But then, the craziest was last August. We were doing the Real Street Hip Hop Festival in the parking lot of the Honda Center, and then that's the Friday night that I had you guys on that show at the Parish.
Oh, shit.
So I was working 110-hour week on site at the festival, and I had that show at the Parish. Luckily they were down the street from each other, so I was still able to do both. But I ended up on site for 48 hours straight after that show. I just slept in my hammock for a couple little power hours. But
that's nuts, man.
Hey man, roadie life, it's fun. USS, understage sleep, some of the best you'll get because you're exhausted.
And we need to get you a reality show for your AV-ness.
Yeah, man, just follow us around, and it's nothing but jokes, and a lot of them might offend you, but they're jokes. Remember, they're jokes. Don't roast the comedian. Enjoy it or go home.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that right now. You do know that he makes his living of making jokes, right? Yeah. He didn't mean that.
Yeah. Well, when things do come back, if you ever need a tall extra hand,
man. I would have saved me getting a 14-foot ladder if I had you on this gig. You could have done it off the 8-foot.
Yeah, there's not many people who can get that 5th row of AV wall up without a ladder.
Yeah, not very many, including me. Like we were telling the taco guy earlier, I'm used to being one of the tallest guys. I'm around you and I feel short.
Yeah, I do that to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's 6'9" over here, man. Put you on skates, you're 7 foot almost. Fuck.
Yeah, I'd probably be over 7 feet.
Yeah.
Same as Chara.
Chara's size is just not as thick.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to
How do you feel
gym.
about Chara going to the Capitals?
I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, Chara just went to the Capitals.
So he's with Ovechkin?
Yeah.
Interesting,
right?
Yeah. That power play is going to be intense.
It's going to be great. Him and Carlson.
Yeah.
He's like
him and Carlson on D. Well, usually Ovechkin's playing the point on the power play too, isn't he?
That's true. Yeah.
But it's going to be crazy.
Yeah. And then Lundqvist went there, but now he's out with heart surgery.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I guess he's had a heart condition for years that he's like played through on the Rangers and can't play through it anymore. He has to have a heart surgery.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Your hockey trivia is on point.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to do. I've been paying a lot of attention. Plus, I got this fantasy league. I'm doing my draft research, you know.
Yeah. I got to get on that. Yeah. January 10th is when we...
Sunday at noon, January 10th. Yeah. It's going down.
I just know that I want Matthews.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for the Leafs.
Yeah.
So...
Well, we'll see what pick you get. He always goes in top 5 this year. So.
Yeah. We can wrap it up. We're at like 45 minutes.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks for being on.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on, and it's good to see you doing something to stay relevant and keep the creative juices flowing.
Thank you to Taqueria
Zaragoza.
And I practiced saying that like for 10 minutes on the way here, and then I pull up and the sign is not taqueria. What is it?
I don't know. I've lived here for 20 years and I'm still terrible at this.
Anyways, I went to the taco truck yesterday in Santa Ana by my place, and I had to go back for dinner because it was so damn good. I hit them up and they were like, yeah, come by for some food. Oh, they're incredible, man.
They're the best. We were just talking about on the podcast how good they are right now.
Get an horchata. The horchata's good too.
Yeah.
Well, right on, John Safari. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, Mike. And so, what's the? Do you have a name for Rosedale? Or
It's funny that you said skyscraper earlier, talking about my height, because that was like one of the front runners. But there, I think, is a hardcore band called Skyscraper, and the movie with The Rock, it's called Skyscraper.
Yeah, it shows up on Google searches.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to find something really search optimizable, but also interesting and fun. So it's been tough.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of ideas just floating in an email draft that I'm like, I could roll with that. But it's tough, man. It's naming a song is easy, naming an album is easy, but when it's something that is like one thing forever,
it's going to define everything that comes out of that project. Absolutely.
Yeah, Mainsail's going through the same thing. They're changing their name, and we got to trademark it, and it's it's not cheap.
No, trademarking, and it's a process.
Do you have OCML trademarked, or no? You just own all the tags.
Yeah, I just own all that, and then I have the Music League LLC, which is like the umbrella.
Nice.
So I don't know. I changed the logo so much until when it was. I was like, if I would have trademarked everything, I would have screwed myself.
Yeah, no, I dig it. And I feel like that's enough. It's like, as long as you get all the handles, the website, the LLC.
I own everything through the state as a business. If you look up the business, it's under my name. So,
cool.
Use my thing and let me sue you. That'd be fun.
Right on. Well, yeah, I'll put all that in the description too. Everyone should join OCML, Orange County Music League. It's the umbrella for a lot of amazing bands down here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, once music's back.
Man, I can't wait to get back to it. Once it's back, we're going to hit it really hard because I miss throwing shows and creating environments where people can escape their shitty lives. And I think all of us collectively need to escape that shitty year last year. So as soon as we can come back, we're going to have some fun stuff.
Right on. Agreed. Well, thanks again.
All right, man. Thank you.
We're in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. You said it best, Mr. Safari. Big thanks again to Taqueria Zaragoza for supplying some of the best tacos I have ever bit into. As always, thanks to Vocalese for taking care of our voices and well-being, and thank you for checking out this episode of State of My Art Podcast. If you'd like to see more episodes like this one, please go ahead and subscribe and click the notify bell on YouTube if you haven't already. Follow on Instagram and Spotify or wherever you're hearing this, and I'll see you next week for another episode of State of My Art Podcast.